If your notifications have taken you by surprise that we're live now, then you're not keeping up with the tournament because it's the first double header weekend of this year's IPL. It should be a very interesting conversation now about how teams go in these afternoon games. We're already seeing the heat take its toll in evening games. So I wonder what we'll have to discuss today when Rajasthan Royals and Royal Challengers Bangalore take on each other. It's early days in the tournament, but top spot in the points table is up for grabs for the winner of today. RCB be joined by the fact that they managed to beat Mumbai Indians in a super over. Rajasthan Royals took a bit of a beating against Kolkata Knight Riders as their world leveled after Sharjah. They now move from Dubai to Abu Dhabi. And I am warmly welcoming Gautam Gambhir and Sanjay Manjrekar, the formidable pair of batsmen that started this year's tournament on Whirlpool Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout powered by Dell. Both with different backgrounds. You all keep a different space in the house for afternoon games, I think. Maybe it's cooler in your own house when these things happen. Sanjay, welcome back. How are you doing?
Good. Because the face can't change, right? So we change the background.
Yeah, well, that's one way of looking at it. Gautam,
to bring variety.
Afternoon games come about, and all of a sudden there's discussion on could this be big toss if you bat first, and will the heat take its toll? Thoughts?
I think so. I think this is the first game, and obviously, teams would want to put runs on the board, and they know that in Abu Dhabi, wicket tends to get slower in the second inning. So probably that's the reason I feel that Rajasthan has won the toss and actually decided to bat fast, because normally against RCB you would definitely want to chase because of their bowling, but then again it could be just because of the afternoon games.
Yeah, Rajasthan have won the toss and decided to bat first. Sunrisers seem to now be playing Sanjay to their strength. They'll bat first and set a score. Is this entirely an afternoon call, or are you happy that Steve Smith had a bat first? Gautam says surprising that teams against RCB have decided to have a bat first.
See, Sunrisers Hyderabad in the last game chose to chase because they did that well, or rather set a target because they did that well in the last game. So that was because of what happened in the previous game for Sunrisers Hyderabad. This is a clear case of afternoon because it's better of having two people out there in the in the peak of the heat. And as Gautam said, there's not going to be much of daylight fading, and the pitch is likely to receive a lot of sun and tend to slow down. So if you've got runs on the board, because you're bowling at around the first innings of a second game, I think there'll be something there for the spinners, and that's one of the reasons we've seen a seamer go out and a spinner come in. So slightly different conditions and hence different dynamics today.
Right, let's talk about that. Rajasthan, the only team to make a change today, just the one change at that. Ankit Rajput, couple of games for the seamer, and he finds himself out for the all-round option of Mahipal Lomror, the 20-year-old all-rounder from Rajasthan, played just 2 games for the Rajasthan Royals towards the end of last season. The first one, incidentally, was against RCB. Didn't bat or bowl in that. But what's that telling you about what Steve Smith thinks about this game, Gautam? Leaving out a steamer and playing someone like Mahipal Lomror, who bowls a bit of left-arm spin and bats in the middle order.
Again, it has a lot to do with the afternoon games, because obviously sometimes wicket tends to play slower in the afternoon just because of underlights and dew factor. It starts to get quicken up, so that could be reason. And obviously going with 3-4 seamers, with if they would have gone with Ankit Rajput, wouldn't have made any sense. So they want another left-arm spinner option. Plus, if you see RCB, they've got a lot of right-handers. That Aaron Finch, AB de Villiers, they've got 2 Virat Kohli. They've got 3 right-handers in the top 4, and AB actually struggles against left-arm spin. I know he doesn't struggle against a lot of bowlers, but if you see, tend to have a little bit of struggle against left-arm spin. But I think mostly it has to do with the day game.
Yeah, fact is that left-arm spinners have gotten AB out more than perhaps other batsmen. A fair point from Gautam. Sanjay, one thought we did encourage after that game against KKR was maybe Rajasthan would change the shape of their batting, maybe bring in Yashasvi Jaiswal or play Robin Uthappa up top and have Steve Smith bat in the middle. They've clearly decided that their batting is good enough. So just that one game after Dubai, they don't want to change it. And they're simply bringing in an all-rounder for someone like Rajput.
Yeah, Rajput also last match, if you look at his figures, 4 overs for 39. So when he got his opportunities, it wasn't like he set the stage on fire. And when you look at Rajasthan Royal and batting options, with Ben Stokes not there, they don't have too many options. So, they've won 2 games in Sharjah, so they're looking good on the points table. But not really looking like champion material to get into the final 4. So if they want to address that issue, maybe they won't do it right now, but they need to get a little bit of, danger after number 3. Because when you look at their top order, you've got Butler, who's brilliant, Steve Smith,
Yeah.
Samson, and that's it. Then you get into Uthappa, and then you get into Parag and Tevatia. So there's nothing there until Stokes arrives. So, Sunil Narayan's move that KKR have made, I don't know whether it happened in Gambhir's reign, but not too many other teams have tried that. And teams that don't have much batting depth could afford to have some of their better batters who are pure bowlers to go up the order, think out of the box, and just sort of start aggressively. So guys like Butler and Steve Smith, if they're batting with that pinch hitter, they get a little time to settle in. Otherwise, when you look at the top 3, Samson, Butler, too much pressure on them to get the innings going at a certain rate. I've seen Archer having some batting ability. He's a guy, but he's a fast bowler. But I'm saying this for later. Then I've seen Pat Cummins having that hitting ability. So they don't need to bat too long. At the most 10, 15 deliveries and just set that tempo for the inning. Something that limited, teams with limited options with batting could try.
Okay, let's get into that conversation. Yes, Gautam, please.
Just one. I think that's a bit of a surprise that they haven't given Manan Vora a go. Because they're playing Ryan Parag at number 5 and 6, and he hasn't contributed enough. And that's a tough number to bat at. You could actually push someone like Manan Vora at the top of the order and then just tell him to go out there and express himself. Because they have enough batting if they've got someone like Maipal Lumror batting at number 8. So probably in place of Ryan Parag, they could have actually shuffled their batting order a little bit. Steve Smith could have batted at number 3. Sanju Samson could have batted at number 4. That would have just made their batting look more deeper. So I absolutely have to agree with Sanjay that after the top 3, they've got not enough firepower who can actually win them the game. Till the time Ben Stokes does not arrive in UAE, that's a huge issue for them.
Yeah, they're worried about having Steve Smith other than opening, because you could see in the last game as well, when they have to chase the target, Steve Smith gets a little, the way he was trying to hit out. So if this guy is pushed down to number 3 and 4, they're worried that you might not get the best of Steve Smith. And hence, people like Manan Vora are suffering. In fact, a lot of young Indian batsmen are suffering because owners and captains are putting a lot of faith in the Maxwells and the Purans. So you don't have Sarfraz Khan getting enough opportunities, Gautam as well. So, there's if you've got young players, and we saw in the last game as well, when the top order failed, that's when Priyam Garg came to the party, because he had overs there. He felt like he had the time and everything depended on him. When the top order fires, young players batting at 5 and 6 are, unfortunately proved to be almost redundant.
So do you reckon having Butler at number 4 and starting with Manan Vora and Steve Smith could have been a better option? Because see, with the lack of experience, till the time you don't have Ben Stokes coming and playing for them, there is absolutely lack of depth in their batting. Plus, there is not even firepower in the batting as well. See, Robin has not been in that great form. You might have picked Robin to finish off the innings. But if I see this batting lineup, Robin 4, Ryan Parag 5, Rahul Tewatia, Tom Curran, see, okay, these guys can contribute, but they cannot actually win you a game when it's 10 or 12 runs required per over. So that's my only issue. They could have actually played with George Butler at number 4 or 5 and could have actually had someone like Yashasvi Jaiswal or Manan Vora to go out there and just play freely and ask them to do what George Butler do. Obviously, not with the same skill set, but at least they can actually go on to play the similar role like what George Butler is doing for RR.
I would prefer Butler opening the innings, and if I want to swap somebody and push that person outside his comfort zone, it would be more Steve Smith than Butler. Then maybe, as Gautam said, Manan Vora could open. Steve Smith could bat at number 3, which is not ideal for him. But Butler, who I believe at the moment is arguably the best T20 batsman, and he's made that name at the top. So I wouldn't tamper Butler's position too much. But the others could be discussed going forward. They won't do anything right now because they look pretty good on the points table. But going forward, to be in championship sort of position to win it, they may have to do these things going forward.
Right. Now, Butler, yes, has a great record opening for Rajasthan, plays the middle order successfully for England. So you have that versatility.
T20s, I think he opens.
No, he opens
in T20s, has played a middle order role, but yes, opens for T20. So the question, I guess, was, Gautam, should you split Smith and Butler? Because I guess this was a call taken that when Ben Stokes comes in, he can be your middle order guy. You don't want Smith and Butler batting, Smith and Stokes batting together. And if you play Smith at 3, then Samson goes to 4, who's in great form. Can you play Smith any lower than 4? So that's your other issue, isn't it, of playing someone like Smith at the top. But you still think it's better that they split Smith and Butler?
And the reason only is because of Robin Uthappa. The reason because of his form, because they must have
Yeah.
depended a lot on Robin Uthappa to deliver at number 4, and that's the reason they would have actually gone with Butler and Steve Smith at the top of the order. But if you see, Robin hasn't delivered, so that it becomes very important for someone like Robin, because he's going to be someone with the experience, with the ability to hit those big shots. If he doesn't come good, then obviously you can't expect Rahul Tewatia day in day out to do what they had done in one game. Obviously, you expect Robin to do that. That's why he was picked in the auction. I'm sure they would not have picked Robin in the auction thinking that he would open the batting with the kind of batting
Yeah.
lineup, kind of squad they had. So Robin has to deliver. The only reason why I say that they might just get forced to split both of them is because of the form which Robin is in. If he doesn't deliver today, obviously there will be pressure, much more pressure on him, and plus they might have to just split both of them.
Like, how hard is it for an experienced Indian batsman who has largely played at the top of the order to be picked by a new franchise for a different role? Now, we know someone like Uthappa would ideally have liked to open the innings. That's not a slot or a vacancy available at Rajasthan. But is it something that is a given, Gautam, that you can adapt your game and you have to adapt your game to play for a different franchise? Or is that not as easy at Uthappa's age and stage in his career?
See, Ronak, I have a completely different view on this. I've always maintained one thing: you only pick yourself in the playing 11, and then you should be able to bat at any number. I know people have their own comfort zone. Yes,
Yeah.
I had my own comfort zone. I wanted to open the batting all the time in T20 cricket. That's probably the easiest time to do it. But then there are times when I batted at number 3, number 4, and okay, I might not have been able to deliver that. But then your job is to only get yourself picked in the playing 11, and then you have to curb your game, or you have to develop your game thinking
Yeah.
about any scenario and every scenario, whether it's a
Yeah.
number
Yeah.
4, 5, 6, 7. And that is what makes you a good cricketer. That is what makes you different from the rest. But if you expect only to open the batting and that's where only you can deliver, then probably become one dimension. It's like bowlers as well. If you expect bowlers to bowl in different conditions or different situations, why not the batters? Why does batters have all the luxury to decide their own numbers? And that is the reason why I've always felt that a captain needs to be a bowler's captain, because they don't get that luxury. That I don't want to bowl in the first 6, or I don't want to bowl in the last 4. But batters, if you see, oh, you know what, I want to open the batting all the time. I want to bat in the top 3. That is where I can deliver the most. No one should have the luxury. It is all about what the team wants you to do, and you got to deliver. If you're not able to deliver, probably someone else can deliver it for you. As simple as it gets.
Sounds simple.
Quick point,
Yeah.
Ronak. Uthappa also made a name for himself as a T20 batsman, if you remember, batting down the order. So there was a time when he was batting at number 4 and 5 and hitting all those big shots. I think it was when he was playing for, was it RCB very early in the IPL and Champions
I
League?
remember
So it's not,
he had a middle order role for India in the T20 World Cup.
yeah, so it's not that he's only an opening batsman. I see Robin Uthappa as a changed batsman now. Gautam knows him better. But when he started playing for Pune, I think he had a couple of years with Pune, started opening the innings. And because he was also on the threshold of playing for India, he sort of became this batsman who batted through the innings. His strike rate through that whole season was about 110. And since then, Robin Uthappa hasn't changed as a player, because the first time when he arrived on this T20 scene, he was this dangerous batsman who hit the ball out of the park. His strike rate was, upwards of 130. After that, he's become a different player.
And I think the best years were with you, Gautam, weren't they? The years that KKR won the championship.
Yeah, started off as a middle order batter, because we actually picked him as a wicket keeper and a middle order batter, because obviously top order was pretty much fixed when he was picked, and obviously he wanted to open the batting. But then again, as a captain, you got to be strong enough to say that yes, you got to do a middle order job. Yes, I know that everyone wants to open the batting, everyone wants to bat with the new ball in T20 cricket. But then yes, obviously later on in 2014, he actually started delivering, because I was not in very good form. I started off horribly. In fact, first 3 games I got 3 ducks, and then obviously I wanted to have a partner who was in very good form, so he opened, and then obviously we could build the entire partnership. But that only happened probably because I was not in very good form. But here, if you see Rajasthan roles, they've got a. You can't compare Robin Uthappa at the moment with Steve Smith, or for that matter, Jos Butler, because the kind of form they both are in, and they play international cricket. So you got to adapt to number 4, 5, or 6. So that probably is the reason, because see, he delivered for KKR, and then obviously we could build the partnership. That's something different. But then again, year after year, obviously you got to start developing yourself as a cricketer as well. And when you go to a new franchise,
Hmm.
you can't demand things as simple as it gets. If you go to a new franchise, then it's up to the franchise to decide where they want you to bat. Yes, if you've been in a franchise for 2 3 years, you've already proven it for that franchise. Yes, there are times when you say that I can be used much better at the top of the order at number three. But when you go in a new franchise, you actually have to prove yourself. So it's a big role for Robin Uthappa. And actually, this batting order looks very vulnerable only because of Robin Uthappa at number four doesn't look to be in very good form. The moment he gets
Mm.
in very good form, you might just start seeing more depth in this batting order, which unfortunately is missing at the moment.
Right. As we did see, most of the work was done by the top three in the two games at Sharjah. And then the top three went early in Dubai in their game against KKR. It all went wrong. Steve Smith said at the end of that game, Sanjay, that perhaps some of the batters and their minds were still in Sharjah and they were suffering from the hangover of the Sharjah effect. Now they come to Abu Dhabi, which arguably has been the most challenging pitch
Mm.
for batting in this tournament. Will we see a different Steve Smith today, one that we're more accustomed to see?
Yeah, it should suit him a little more because Sharjah, I'm sure, guys like Steve Smith would feel the pressure of scoring at a strike rate of 150. That he managed to do that is brilliant because Sharjah, I think, is very kind to even, batsmen who are out of form and not suited. But considering that this pitch has something for the bowlers, then the class of Steve Smith will come to good use. So yes, I think he'll enjoy batting uh, on this ground. And quickly, just want to make a comment on Gautam Gambhir saying everybody's keen to open. It's a very easy place to bat. What he meant was it's everybody's keen to open in white ball cricket, not test
Absolutely.
matches.
No, absolutely. Spot on. And no one wants to open the batting in test cricket. Very
Yeah,
few
and
wants
we know of certain people who opened all their lives in white
Uh,
ball cricket,
and,
love doing it, never let go of that, but
and
never
never
keen to
will
go up the order in test matches. Yeah.
I love you too. All right,
cricket.
let's go to the next one. Let's talk about RCB, shall we? They're the
Yeah.
opponent team in this, and they had to make no changes, which maybe comes as a bit of surprise to some of us. We thought Adam Zampa was a strategic call for the Mumbai Indians, two leg spinners in Dubai. They've persisted with Zampa as the overseas option. Isuru Udana keeps his place too, and Washington Sundar bowled particularly well last game. De Villiers keeps wicket, which was also a surprise that we saw from the last game. So no changes at all, which means Chris
Ronak.
Morris. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, please.
Yeah, as you're reading, I've got the team in front. Yeah, you mentioned Chris Morris as well. I'm not surprised at all that they haven't made any changes. And I thought finally they came close to getting a very good 11. It's a comment that I made in the preview as well. If you are struggling with your pace department, clearly they have an issue with their pace. They had Isuru Udana, who also went for runs in the last game. So they have brought in that extra edge to their spin. Now they've
Hmm.
got Adam Zampa, they've got Washington Sundar, who bowled superbly in the last game, and they've got Chahal. So they've got their X factor, as I keep calling, in the spin department. So I thought they made an excellent selection of the playing 11, and I'm not surprised at all that they haven't made any changes. Maybe Udana was the only one they could have thought about. But just the one game, they would want to give him more, I guess.
Fair enough. Assuming
And
Chris Morris is not
Yeah.
available, that's what we're
Yeah.
assuming. Gautam. Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted you there, but yeah.
Yes, Gautam.
I said they could only do all this is because they have started asking AB to keep wickets.
Yeah.
And he should have done that long time back. He should have done that probably in last couple of years as well. Because if AB doesn't keep wicket, then you don't have the luxury actually to rotate your other Indian seamers and players and plus the overseas players. The only way they could actually got Adam Zampa in is because AB could keep wickets, and it looks a very good side. The moment Chris Morris comes in place of Isuru Udana, it looks an even better side because then they might just get someone who can bat and tonk a few in the later half, and he's a better death bowler, honestly, as compared to Isuru Udana. Nothing against Isuru Udana, but then this entire playing 11 will look much more stronger with Chris Morris coming in.
Yeah, fair enough. This De Villiers conversation fascinates me, Gautam, because for all these years, that could have changed the balance, like you said, of the team playing in Chinnaswamy with the restrictions that they had with Indian players. They could have had a whole lot of overseas options that De Villiers kept. There's this thing of AB's low back and back problem, but he's been this phenomenal outfielder as well. Is keeping that much harder, or if you're good enough to play in the 11, you should be good enough to keep as well? Are you surprised at how long it's taken for RCB to convince AB that it's time to
Very,
keep wicket?
very surprised because in T20 cricket, I don't think it's that much of an effort.
Hmm.
Because you look at the stats. See, I'm not a big stats man, but whatever I've heard from people that what maximum you'll get out of 120, 125 deliveries, you'll end up getting what 30, 40 deliveries. to the keeper, not even probably less than that. Yes, I know there's more pressure because there could be a stumping charge, it could be a caught behind, but see, a lot of teams have gone with part-time wicket keepers, KL Rahul, Robin Uthappa we went with, but AB is
Yeah.
a proper wicket keeper. So they should have actually pushed him to keep wickets. I know it's tough on his lower back and stuff. You want him in the outfield and stuff, but then you got to have your combinations right. See, either you decide to protect someone or you decide to get your combinations right. Personally, if you ask me, I would have definitely pushed AB to keep wickets, irrespective whether it's his back issue, whether he wants to do it, he doesn't want to do it. I don't care. For me, I think it's the team combination that is more important than an individual.
Slightly
Yeah.
different take on this, Ronak. See, AB de Villiers for RCB is this very precious cargo. And he's an aging guy. He's not at the peak of his fitness. When he was fit, he could do everything. He could bowl as well, take his gloves off and start bowling. And the other thing is the IPL is a long season and they wanted him to be fit for the entire season. And because you take AB de Villiers out of that team and you suddenly look at RCB as half the batting team that it is when AB is around. So my guess, I mean, this is just an educated guess. It's not about not wanting AB to keep. It is about protecting the precious cargo, because I'm sure somewhere AB would have said keeping wickets every game would have some kind of a toll on his body. And that is
Right.
why you had people like Partha Patel keeping wickets. They had Josh Philippe, right, in the first game or
Yes.
two, keeping wickets. So that must be the only reason, was to protect AB de Villiers physically so that he could be the batsman that he is through this long season of the IPL. Yeah, go on.
Just then they should have actually gone with someone who could have given them more firepower with a part-time wicket keeper, like a Robin
Yeah.
Uthappa, KL Rahul, or a Dinesh
They,
Karthik.
they
Then
even let go of KL Rahul a few seasons back.
no, that's what I'm saying. If
Yeah.
AB was reluctant to keep wickets, I honestly do not see Parthiv Patel as a very good T20 cricketer. Okay,
Yeah.
because he keeps wickets, so you have to make him open the bat. But after 6 overs, he cannot hurt an opposition. So that's the
Yeah.
reason. If AB was reluctant, they could have actually thought of someone who could actually give them that firepower in the batting order, and then at the same time could keep wickets. It's not important to have a full-fledged wicket keeper or a pure wicket keeper. So probably
Sure.
they mix it up in the auction as well. So it's both ways. Either you decide AB to keep wickets, or you could be more flexible in your mindset to go in the auction and go after someone.
I
Rana,
asked
how
this,
many marks did you give RCB at the auction table with their performances? Because I remember you putting up a rating card of the
yeah,
team's
I,
performances at the
I
auction
did say,
table.
I did say that they still haven't plugged the holes that they had, and I one
Yeah,
of those.
that is one of the major issues, is it, the selection?
Yeah, yes, Gautam.
No, sorry, I wanted to. Can you repeat the question? Actually, I didn't get the question.
No, that's all right. We were
I
just
was asking
discussing
Rana, yeah.
how things were after the auction. They didn't really go out and get a Indian keeper or try and get someone who could challenge for that position. All they got was a Josh Philippe, who again adds to the overseas burden. But to just end this conversation on AB, I asked this as a layman, Sanjay, as you would rightly know, someone who's not played cricket. How much of a toll does that keeping actually take? Gautam says you don't get as many balls, but if you have to go up and down even 120 times, you've kept wicket. I've seen some pretty fine stumpings of yours on clips, Sanjay. So tell me if it actually takes that much of a toll in comparison to AB running around on the field and taking these Superman catches and whatnot.
See, Carl Hooper went down the pitch to Ashish Kapoor, and the ball went between his bat and pad. It was an extremely difficult stumping that I got when I was keeping wickets in test matches. So that is out of the way now. Okay. To answer your question, AB de Villiers, what's his age now? He's the late 30s, right? And there's a motion with keeping, which is really getting up and down. Who knows the nitty-gritty of his, issues with the body. But as I said, it's an educated guess. It's not a big toll on your body keeping wickets, but considering AB de Villiers and his importance to his team as a batsman, and because they want him day in, day out, perhaps he finds fielding in the deep a little less physically demanding than keeping wickets. And that is only an educated guess from a distance.
Right. So then it shows that there was hardly any depth in your squad. So that has been the problem with us.
Yeah. With most
Yeah.
teams, a lot of teams, Gautam,
So
when you
then-
look at depth, Rajasthan Royals, look at the depth of their side. Sunrisers Hyderabad, depth.
So then I think you got to be then the people sitting in the auction table or on the auction table need to be questioned, because what is a 23 or 24 player squad there for? It's for depth. It's for like to like replacement. But unfortunately, yes, you can't get an AB de Villiers replacement, but at least you need to have options. And that is unfortunate with RCB. They still could manage to actually rectify their death bowling.
Yeah.
That is
Right. Brilliant. This has been great fun. This is a real challenge of AB de Villiers, the keeper now. 20 overs first in the field in an afternoon game in Abu Dhabi and then having some responsibility at the bat. So let's see how he goes. Any
So
takers
Butler
for
is opening. Butler is
Butler
opening.
and Smith? There are no changes at all. Butler and Smith have
Yeah.
come in. Any takers for leg spin in the power play? Gotham, two right-handers. Maybe we won't see as much of Washington Sundar. Would you be tempted to go with Zampa or Chahal against
No,
Butler?
if
and
they
Smith?
go with the new ball, they'll go with Chahal. Over to you, Gautam.
They'll
no,
go with
I
Chahal.
definitely take that punt. And when you've got two leg spinners, it's a great luxury to have for a skipper. It's an unbelievable luxury because you've got 8 overs of wicket taking option. So not
Yep.
many people have it. So why not against Josh Butler? Why not even start with a leg spin? You might
Can I have
just
a silly
start.
point, Gautam, like you used to?
You can have a silly point, short leg. I've done that. And a slip, and a leg slip, and a gully. Probably there was a time, I'm not kidding, I was actually thinking of having 9 fielders in the circle.
All right, brilliant. This has been great. Sanjay, Gautam, take 5.
Thank you.
We'll be back at the end of the innings to discuss how many Rajasthan have got and what Bangalore's chase is going to be. So please join us then on Whirlpool Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by Dell. The first afternoon game and the first afternoon innings of this year's tournament has kicked off.
Thank you.